Today's review is on the Family Guy Season 18 finale episode, Moving In, Principal Shepard's Song. Chris is helping his principal with the morning announcement. It fails as Chris has a hard time pronouncing words that Principal Shepard gives up and lets Chris leave his office. Once he's done, he mistakes the microphone for an Alexa device and is caught fat-shaming Chris. This leads to the male and female students laughing at Chris until he cries and runs away. Kids can be so cruel. That was messed up for all the kids to be laughing and pointing at Chris because of his weight. I mean, the guys were like, ha ha, he totally owned you. You're fat, lose some weight. Lay off the cheeseburgers, fatty. And then the female students were like, oh my god, you're so fat. What girl would ever want to be with you? No girl finds you cute at all, Chris Griffin, since you're so fat. Fatty. I mean, that was messed up. Like I said, Principal Shepard had the nerve to fat shame Chris, but the guy is on the big side himself. That's like Principal Shepard fat shaming Peter. Meg and Chris return home from school as Chris is still crying while running. Meg tells Peter and Lois what happened. And I gotta say, that was funny when Peter called Chris Keith. Keith, what's the matter? And then Lois tells him, it's Chris, you idiot. It's Chris, you idiot. Mary, what happened? She called Meg Mary. What a hypocrite. You get on Peter for calling Chris Keith, but then here you go calling Meg Mary. How do you not know your own children's names? Obviously that was the humor, which I have to say was pretty funny. But what the heck, Lois? Peter called Chris Keith. Lois called Meg Mary. Oh my goodness. At a meeting of the school board, Lois insists that Principal Shepard should be fired. She stands up for her son, but she's not helping when mentioning catching Chris eating Crisco with a spoon. Plus the whole Chris wearing big pair of pants, which Lois couldn't help but laugh. I mean, people, including Peter, were laughing when Lois mentioned about Chris eating Crisco with a spoon. That's not funny. And then everyone clapped when Lois mentioned about the big pair of pants thing. And Lois herself said, yeah, I'm funny, when she answered Peter's question. Yes, Lois, you are funny. But now wasn't the time to be funny at a meeting at the school board, especially when you were trying to stand up for your son. What the heck? Principal Shepard ends up getting fired. Later, Brian finds out that Stewie wrote a book about him titled Flunky, the Dumb White Dog by Griffin Stewart. Oh, I see. See, Stewie think he's slick. Stewie figured that he has his name backwards and changed it to Stewart so people, including Brian, wouldn't figure it out. Nice try, Stewie. Brian found out that you wrote the book. The jig is up. And it definitely made sense for Stewie to go as Stewart, since that is Stewie's actual birth name. He was born as Stewart Gilligan Griffin. And it was funny when Brian was talking to this woman, when he thought that the woman was referring to as one of his horrible novels. And then all of a sudden, some random big spider pops up and it scares the crap out of Brian. Brian was like, oh! And then the cancer beep. I bet he said, oh, F. Ooh, that spider startled Brian. I hear you, Brian. I know Brian can't stand spiders. Get him, boy. Go. Sick that spider, Brian. F spiders. I know that's right. I feel your pain, Brian. Oh, man. Peter and Lois find Principal Shepard homeless, and they have a conversation about what they should do, magically out of earshot, which was pretty funny. So the principal would not hear them. The principal ends up living with them. Chris does not recognize his own principal until he puts his tie on. And I know some of you guys were like, you idiot, how the heck do you not know your own principal? Boy, Chris definitely is a dumb blonde stereotype. He's not going to recognize his own principal unless he has a tie on. Boy, when Chris said, I never seen this man before in my life, Peter and Lois quickly frowned as they were surprised that their son couldn't even recognize his own principal. Principal Shepard apologized to Chris. I guess. Especially when Principal Shepard talking about he accepts his apology. What are you talking about? You're the one who fat shamed him. Yeah, Principal Shepard is still a jerk. Principal Shepard turns the Griffin household into a carbon copy of the school. Brian ends up suing Stewie. When Peter, Lois, Meg, and Chris complain, the principal tricks them into detention in the basement. They're all trapped in the basement, bored as who knows what. Meg asks how long Principal Shepard was going to keep them down in the basement. Then all of a sudden, Lois was just messing with Meg for whatever reason, assuming that she has a big date. Oh, you got a big date? Is that it? You got a big date? Is that what this is about? And I loved how Meg got back at Lois by saying,
"Hey, bite my butt, Mom. At least I'm not a withered old slut like you are."
Oh, get her, Meg. That is what I'm talking about. Meg got back at her own mother. It was great. See, that's what I'm talking about. We need to see Meg have more backbone in more episodes. She owned Lois. The look on Lois's face says it all. You know she is pissed. What's the matter, Lois? Meg got your burn? Oh, you deserved it. I know Lois, in her mind, she's looking like she's saying to Meg, you bitch. Doesn't feel good, does it, Lois? And then it was epic when Meg put her gun towards Peter's head. And Peter just freaking out going, Meg, Meg, Meg. Meg, Meg, Meg. Yeah, that's payback for all those times you treat her like a whipping mule, Peter. Now what? I don't get it. It seems like Lois is fine with Meg. They have a good mother-daughter relationship, but then it goes back to her doing this type of crap. I thought we were past this. Why is Meg still being treated like a whipping mule? Seth MacFarlane, what the heck? But then again, it's probably not Seth MacFarlane. It's probably just the writers. I'm pretty sure it's the writers. Right? And if so, writers, what are you doing? Stop doing this. Stewie and Brian end up in court, but Stewie successfully proves that Brian is not bright and wins the case. What the heck? In this entire episode, they pretty much made Brian an idiot. I thought Brian was a smart dog. Now all of a sudden they made him an idiot in this episode. Oh, by the way, there was also that Breakfast Club dance promo that Peter, Lois, Meg, and Chris did. The whole Meg with her eyes closed and her mouth open, where she moving her arms on her knees. Brian says he'll never forgive Stewie, but Stewie is not buying it since Brian will walk out of the door, come back, and Brian will be happy to see him again. Which Stewie was right. Stewie finds out that Brian got revenge on him as he wrote a book about him titled Swishy the Football Baby by Griffin Brian. Stewie confronts Brian. Brian! He said. Then we find out Chris wrote a book about both Brian and Stewie. And Chris asks this one guy, what does he think? The guy's not on board until Chris mentions about a Phineas and Ferb erotic fan fiction. The guy wants Chris to read it to him while he enjoys his soup. Yeah, so this has been my review on the season 18 finale episode of Family Guy. I thought it was a good episode. I would at least give it a A-, an 8 out of 10. I just didn't like how they made Brian an idiot in this episode. And Principal Shepard, of all people, fat shaming Chris when he's big himself. Like, what the heck, Principal Shepard? So tell me your thoughts on this episode. Did you like it? What did you think about Meg owning Lois? I know you loved it. And do you think they should have Meg have more backbone in more episodes like this? I mean, she owned Lois. Anyways, tell me your guys' thoughts later.